Hope everybody's having a great day today. Welcome back to class. Today we're going to be learning about World War I and more into how the U.S. got drawn into World War I. The next lesson we will be talking about how World War I ended, as well as President Wilson's 14 points for peace and the way he started the League of Nations. All right, so to begin, let's screen share the PowerPoint presentation, all right? One second, there we go. All right, hold on a second. PowerPoint's not, there we go. Okay, so World War I. We're gonna start here with World War I. So some key terms that you need to define. Take the time right now to pause this video and go into Google Classroom. Find the Google Doc with the World War I key terms. Define these key terms, submit the key terms into Google Classroom, and then come back and play the video. All right, you should have finished the World War I key terms in Google Docs or in Google Classroom on the Google Doc. Submit the key terms to Google Classroom, and we'll move on now since you've done that. Okay, World War I. World War I started on July 28th, 1914. And right when the World War I started, the United States did not get involved. In Europe leading up to the war, there were many countries making alliances with each other. Different countries were building up their militaries. There was also a spirit of nationalism going on in many countries in Europe, where citizens of that country and governments of that country were really proud to be French, proud to be Italian, proud to be German, and they built up their militaries to really protect them from other nations. In June 1914, a Serbian national terror group called the Black Hand assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary was a territory and country at the time in Europe, and Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the soon-to-be leader of that territory and country. So here's kind of a map with World War I here. Of the alliances. So in red, you have Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, who were aligned together. And then in the blue, you have Russia, France, and the United Kingdom, some North African countries, as well as soon to be the United States, allied together. And then in green, you have the countries that were aligned with Russia, such as Serbia, right? So Franz Ferdinand was visiting Serbia at the time of his assassination attempt, where he was actually attempted assassination, and then the second time they were able to assassinate him, which started World War I. So here's kind of a timeline of World War I, and then I'm going to have you guys watch a video on YouTube that kind of explains this timeline. Now, at the time in the United States, when World War I broke out, the United States, most of the population in the United States did not want to enter World War I. They wanted to remain neutral, which is what the United States did for the first 2 years of the war. But in June 28th, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. Okay, he was the heir or soon-to-be leader of that Austria-Hungary nation. Then on July 28th, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Ferdinand was in Serbia when he was assassinated, and he was assassinated by a Serbian terror group called the Black Hand. August 2nd through the 7th, 1914, Germany invades Luxembourg and Belgium. France then invades, and British forces arrive in France. Nations allied against Germany were eventually to include Great Britain, Russia, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and many other countries, as you see here. So really the war then become Germany, Austria-Hungary versus the other European nations. Here's kind of a more another timeline here is August 10th, 1914. Austria-Hungary invade Russia. Remember, Austria and Hungary are on the side of Germany. September 9th, 1914, Allied forces halt Germany's advance to France during the Battle of the Marne. February of 1915, Germany begins naval blockade of Great Britain. And this is when we start to see the U.S. get more involved, is in 1915 here. Germany blocks the naval blockade of Great Britain. At the time, the U.S.'s biggest trading partner was Great Britain. And so with this naval blockade, it really put a halt to the U.S. trading goods with Britain. And it really made it hard for Britain, as they were not able to get certain supplies, food, and necessary items that they needed. Then as we move into May 1915, a German U-boat sinks a passenger liner, Lusitania, during crossing from New York to Great Britain. Americans die in this. So this passenger liner was traveling from New York to Great Britain when a German U-boat, which is a submarine, sinks the ship, and Americans die. President Wilson was outraged, as well as many American citizens were outraged about this. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys do now is you're going to follow this. You're going to pause the video, and you're going to go to this video link here. Okay, you can find the video link in your Google Docs. Let me share with you what's that going to look like. Within Google Docs, you're going to have this PowerPoint video activity. This is the first video you're going to watch. It's going to kind of give you a background of the things we just talked about. Watch the video and answer the questions. Who was the ruler of Austria-Hungary at the time of Franz Ferdinand's assassination? It's going to go into what Franz Ferdinand's role in the Austria-Hungary ruling party was. It's going to talk about the first assassination attempt on Franz Ferdinand. You're going to answer the question from the video of who shot Franz Ferdinand, and so forth. So pause this video, watch this video from YouTube. The link's provided in your Google Docs from Google Classroom. Answer these questions and then come back to my video once you have watched the video that is linked with this assignment. All right, welcome back. You should have watched this YouTube video. The link is in Google Classroom under the World War I Google Doc. You should have answered the questions that go along with the video. And the video, as you know now, as you've watched it, just basically gave you more information into what was going on before World War I started and how World War I got started in Europe. So America in 1914, President Wilson was the president. The start of World War I shattered the general global stability that the United States had. You know, one reason we talked about is it affected trade with Europe. Germany, started a naval blockade of Great Britain. President Wilson and most of the American public did not want to get entangled with a war. Just in 2 battles, there were 1 million casualties. America did not want to get involved. World War I erupted. President Wilson, like I said, maintained neutrality, which is what most Americans favored. Britain was a major trading partner with the U.S., and tensions rose as the German Navy tried to quarantine off the British Isles from trade. Some U.S. ships were sunk by German mines as well as submarines. And then in 1915, Germany announced unrestricted warfare against all ships entering the naval blockade. American ships were eventually sunk by German U-boats or submarines, like we talked about, and Wilson and the American people were outraged. So you're going to pause this video now. You're going to go back to Google Classroom, and in Google Classroom, you'll go back to the Google Doc that you just had. Right here, you're going to watch this second YouTube video and answer these questions that give us more detail about this video is going to go into detail about how the United States entered World War I. You're going to answer the questions. Was the United States prepared to go to war in Europe? What was the National Defense Act of 1916? And as well as those rest of the questions. So pause this, go to Google Classroom, get back on this World War I Google Doc, watch this second YouTube video, answer the questions, then come back to this video. All right, welcome back. You should have watched that YouTube video and answered those questions. You're now going to watch the last video on those Google Docs within Google Classroom, trench warfare. So go back to Google Classroom and go onto that Google Doc, find the link. Watch the video, YouTube short video on the trench warfare, what it was like. And then once you've done that, answer the questions and come back to this video. All right, welcome back to the video. You should have completed all 3 of those short YouTube videos and answered the questions in Google Classroom on the Google Doc. And once you've done that, you can submit your Google Doc now for points from the World War I video activity. Okay, so we're going to move into a news reporter assignment for you guys. This assignment will be found in Google Classroom. Okay, you're going to follow, basically what you're going to do is you're going to research one, I've given you 3 battles of World War I where the United States was involved. They were involved in a lot more than 3, but 3 main ones. And there's gonna be links provided. I'll show you. There's gonna be links provided. I'll pull it up right now. This is in Google Classroom on the World War I News Report assignment, Google Doc. Okay. As America entered World War I, many Americans would read the newspaper to understand what was happening in Europe. You will play the role of a newspaper reporter who is in Europe. You will pick one of the following battles that America was involved in. You will research the battle with the link that is provided. Okay, so there's 3 battles right here with links where you can research the battle. You will write a 275-word news report for a newspaper in America. Use verbs and adjectives to make your news report interesting and exciting. There are 3 different battles in which U.S. troops were involved in. Research the battle you choose with the link provided. So we have the Battle of Belleau Wood, the Battle of Saint-Mihiel, and then the Battle of, and sorry, I can't pronounce, these are in French. I have a hard time pronouncing those, but there's 3 battles right there. Pick one, use the link to research it, and then write a 270-word news report that would be found in a newspaper, talking about what happened in the battle, and be creative, use verbs and adjectives. You will submit this assignment as well as the short video assignment you've been working on during this video. You'll submit both of those in Google Classroom for grades. Please send a message in Google Classroom or my email if you have any questions, okay? Once we, our next lesson, we're gonna learn about kind of the end of World War I and President Wilson's 14 points of peace and the League of Nations that was created. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.